17 minutes to 8. Should rapists and paedophiles be taken off the sex offenders register if they can prove they're no longer a risk to the public? At present, those convicted of a serious sex crime are listed for life, but the Supreme Court has ruled that offenders in England and Wales have the right to challenge that decision. The government's now agreed to introduce proposals allowing that to happen. Scotland has already brought forward plans for similar reviews. We're joined now by Mark Williams-Thomas, who's a former police detective in child protection. Good morning.
Good morning.
What do you make of this decision?
Well, I think in principle the headlines are very, very worrying. What we don't know at this stage is, of course, the detail, and by that I mean how the individual will appeal, over what period of time, and of course what that appeal process will take place and how it will happen. But what does concern me significantly is many of these offenders, the first time they're caught, and for example if we were to take offenders who have been online committing offences in relation to child abuse material, statistically we're looking at those, they would have been committing offences for at least 6 years prior to being caught. And of course by the time they're caught, they then go through the system, they understand the policing process of how they were caught, they become much wiser, and then what's going to happen is that in 10 years' time, when they want to have their process reviewed, investigators will look at it and they'll be dealing with some very old information as far as risk assessment goes.
Sure, and as you make the point, we don't know yet how this will work, but what we do know is when they challenge the decision to keep them on the register, they are going to have to put forward some evidence as to why they are no longer a risk to the public. So a judge will have to make a judgment on that.
Well, as long as we work on the balance that they are a risk, and they have to prove that they're not a risk, and of course that the balance doesn't go the other way. But this is where the difficultness comes, because these individuals, very often there won't be any credible new information. They won't be rearrested, or they may not have been recharged for offences, in which case you're having to deal with information that's very old. And I ask the question, what rights do they have? Victims have to live with that abuse for the rest of their life, whereas an offender is saying, well, yes, I committed that offence, but I should be allowed to continue it in norm. Well, no, because these people are rather like leopards. They don't change their spots. I'm particularly talking about child sex offenders. And these people become very devious. They are very devious, very open about how they are within a community, and they're very plausible. So what we'll end up with is potentially a very dangerous situation where someone's committed offences in the past. They've been able to say, look, I haven't committed any new offences, therefore I don't present a risk. But they are a risk in the same way as an alcoholic is always an alcoholic until they take their next drink.
Mark Williams-Thomas, thank you very much.